there's one school that we worked with. They brought us in to do a workshop. Let's say a group of 25 young men. The workshop was beautiful. A young man in that room revealed that some of the older boys at that school had been forcing him to do things to girls that he didn't really want to do. And so there was some feelings of him feeling really sad about that thing, like him trying to make them proud of him, but doing things that got him in trouble. And so after the workshop was over, with a lot of the boys, we had them do a reflection. Thank goodness we had them do a reflection for this conversation. We had them do a reflection about whether they wanted to be a part of something like this more regularly, or they wanted to be a part of something where they could come together and have these real conversations. And almost all of them, except maybe 3 of them, said, I want some more of this. One young man said, yeah, I don't really know, but if it's around, maybe I'll check it out. One young man said, well, I got to do stuff after school. Otherwise, I would stay. But for the majority of those young men, they wanted something that would help them to build connection like we had done in that room. So when we reach out to the school to say, hey, here's the reflection from your young men. We're ready to move forward with the next steps. The letter came back from somebody in the school. Now, the letter came back from someone who was not in the workshop. This person had translated information they got from somebody in the workshop and said, well, we don't want you to make assumptions that you're going to do this work here. We think that we should think about it because there's some things you need to do better. And I'm like, hey, I'm down with the feedback. Give me feedback. We would love to make it better. I'm all about making it better. Anybody who's been to one of our workshops back in 2014 and today, it's a different workshop, but it's also deeply healing. And for all those young men in that workshop who said they were interested, the educator, the adult said, nah, we don't think it's the right thing. Ultimately, what the educator did is they translated how they thought about our work compared to what the actual young men said about our work. The young men said, we want more of this. We need more of this. And the adults said, you probably should have done X, Y, Z better. You should have. And the things they were giving us feedback on were style and process, not the work that we do deeply, why they brought us in to do what we uniquely do best. And listen, it's not just this one school. I wish it was just this one school, but we see it over and over again. And listen, it's a dance for me to even talk about it, right? Because it could seem like I may be upset that they didn't bring us back and do work at their school. Like I could be upset like that they didn't choose us. That's probably true. But more so than them not bringing us in because they didn't want to work with us, it's all the young men who said, yes, we want more of this. And the school then did nothing. It's not that they went with someone else. They did nothing. Now, we've seen it happen over and over again. I could tell you story after story after story of educators and adults in school buildings who have made decisions for young people without talking to the young people. Now, listen, some of us as adults, we have to make decisions for young people because we have been around long enough and we have some of their best interests. But when we ask young people what they want and then we totally ignore what they want, I'm not talking about a candy bar before dinner. I'm talking about, I want a place to be able to talk about my feelings in a healthy way. I want more of that. And then for the adults to say, well, we don't actually have time or space or resources for you to talk about your feelings. So just stuff them again. And then maybe you should punch somebody on the baseball field. Then we'll get you to a counselor because then we'll realize that something must be wrong with you if you are a special athlete and yet you have now just punched somebody. How ironic. How ironic. And when we decide to get young people help,